Today we will talk about getting accommodation on University of Ghana campus. Yes, after getting admission, the most important or the most competitive step, which is even more competitive than getting admission, is getting accommodation on campus. So in this video, we will talk about the halls on the campus and the hostels, the differences, advantages, disadvantages, how to get accommodation. Usually it's online, so we'll talk about how to get accommodation online and how to get accommodation after not getting online accommodation. Okay, so guys, before we continue with this video, please hit the subscribe button, okay, the red button down there, so that YouTube knows that the helpmate is providing you with useful information. Okay, and also when you subscribe, you will not miss out on anything we upload. When something comes up, it will show up in your timeline and you may be notified. Okay, so let's talk about the traditional halls. Traditional halls are those that were originally built by the university at the beginning. Okay, so the first hall was Legon Hall, and then the last of the traditional halls was Mensa Saba Hall. Now there are 5 of them, and it's only Volta Hall, which is all female, and Commonwealth is all male. Every hall, all the traditional halls have annexes. Annexes are the extensions of the hall. So as the population of the university grew, they needed more room, so they built extensions, which we call annexes. Okay, only Commonwealth does not have an annex as at now, and Volta Hall has an annex, but it's inside the main hall. So there is the main hall and the annex of the hall. Okay, in University of Ghana, after gaining accommodation into one particular hall, you can stay there for your entire study. So there is nothing like in, out, whatever, unlike other universities. Okay, so yes, and there are postgraduate halls too. The traditional halls, let me mention the traditional halls. There is the Volta Hall, there is Commonwealth, there is Legon Hall, the Kwafu Hall, and Mensa Saba Hall. All the traditional halls have main and then annex. I mentioned that earlier. In the main hall, there is usually 3 people in a room. So there are 2 people in the outer, and then 1 person in the inner room. And the inner rooms are usually for continuing students. So with the outer, there is a bunk bed where 2 people are. And then when you go inside, you find 1 bed for 1 person in there. It's quite small. Okay, and then there are lockers. Should I call them wardrobes? Yes, we have those too. I think some halls, the lockers in every hall kind of differs a bit, but in general they are quite spacious. I think they should be enough. It was enough for me, so I think if it's enough for me, it should be enough for you too. Right, the space in there. In the annexes, there are usually 4 people in a room, so 2 bunk beds. Okay, 2 pairs of bunk beds, and there are a few 2 inner rooms, which are smaller than those, but that one too usually is for continuing students, so you can apply for that in 2nd year, 3rd year, whatever. Usually in some halls you can change your room after an academic year, so you can apply for a particular room that you want, put your name down and all that, especially in Volta Hall. All the traditional halls have shared washrooms, so there's a washroom outside. There are washrooms outside. Okay, some people have keys to particular ones so that you can share maybe 2 rooms to 1 washroom to reduce the stress and prevent strangers from using them. And with that, the good thing is that you don't clean it yourself. Okay, there are cleaners who come every day to make sure that the place is tidy for you. When the link opens for you to choose a room online, the traditional halls get taken up quickly, usually because it's the cheapest, and the traditional halls are closest to everywhere. Your lecture halls are closer to the traditional halls than the other halls, and Wi-Fi quite works well in the traditional halls. That's per my experience. So also in the traditional halls, there are dining halls. Each traditional hall has a dining hall where you can get affordable food. For example, I love Legon Hall KK. It's nice. Okay, and yes, the food is usually delicious, but then you get tired of eating at one place, so you like to rotate from one traditional hall to another and then return later when you are tired of the other place. Okay, that's just a tip, by the way. So each room has a couple of tables and chairs for you to use to study. But there are also reading rooms in every hall, okay? So go and find your reading rooms. In the reading room, you can go there anytime. It's opened 24/7. There is usually air conditioning, and they are quite comfortable in the traditional hall sometimes. From Volta Hall is quite comfortable. I've tried Legon Hall, which is okay too. So yes, and it's mixed, okay, except for Volta Hall. With Volta Hall, males are not allowed to go into the reading rooms. And the library, all hostels have libraries. So each, okay, I know for the traditional halls, all the traditional halls have libraries. So you can identify that. You can use that within working hours, okay? You can usually use the libraries in the halls within working hours. And sometimes when you go to search for a book at Bound Library, you can be referred to a particular hall's library where you can find it. So you can go to your hall and read it there, which will be more convenient to you. There are tanks for water storage, but then when the tap doesn't flow for a couple of days, then they run dry. So yes, but it doesn't happen that often. I've not experienced water loss for a very long time in the hostels. When the portal opens for you to choose a room online, you realize that the traditional halls get filled up very quickly. They just vanish because they are less expensive and they are close to everywhere. Okay, who doesn't want that? But they also have their disadvantages, like the sharing of the washroom, and they are not as comfortable or as good looking as what we are moving next to. So we are moving next to the Diaspora. Okay, Diaspora means dispersed. You all know that, right? But I think it's called that because of the distance between the Diaspora and the main campus. I think it's quite farther than most of the other halls. So when you're coming to class, you actually need a shuttle or bus, okay, which transports you to your various hostels. Before the pandemic, it used to be 1 cedi per ride, okay, so it's not that expensive. With the Diaspora, there are usually 4 people in a room, so 2 bunk beds, and there are a few 2 in a room, but I've noticed that they are usually for international students, okay, and they're a little bit more expensive. So with the Diaspora, there are 4 main halls at the Diaspora. The first one, when you're coming from the swimming pool area, which is the Okonglo Gate. When you're coming from Okonglo Gate, the first one is Hilary Man, followed by Alexander Kwapon. Then you have Elizabeth Francis Say, then Jen Nelson, okay. Each of these halls are the same. All 4 are the same, basically, okay. There are 4 floors to each of the Diasporas. Okay, each floor has 2 reading rooms. What I've experienced between the Diaspora and then the traditional halls is that the traditional halls are a little bit more comfortable. Even though there are fewer in the traditional halls, they're a little bit more comfortable than the Diaspora. Yes, and there are ACs in a lot of them, not all. And yes, there are 4 people in a room, and there are a few 2 in a room, 2 people per room. There are bunk beds, so there are 2 pairs of bunk beds. There are pillion holes where you can put your books. There are lockers or wardrobes, as we may call them. And the good thing is that there is a balcony. There is a balcony at the Diaspora. So every room has a balcony. And the best part is that the washrooms are not shared with the general public. The washrooms are inside. You get to share them with your roommates, okay? You have to scrub your own. You have to take care of your own washroom, okay? So that they don't usually let the cleaners come in to clean. So they take care of the corridors and the public places. They clean those places, but then the washroom is yours. But the other good part is that you can get somebody. You can hire somebody to come and clean your washroom for you. In my room, we shared it, okay? So within a month, each 4 of us takes 1 weekend, okay? And you can choose to hire somebody to come and scrub during your time. It's fine. It was quite comfortable. I enjoyed being at the Diaspora. Another good thing about the Diaspora is that the rooms are way more spacious than the traditional halls, and they look quite better than the traditional halls. Okay, so there will be a video to show you how these halls or these hostels look like, so that you can make an informed decision. There are shops in each hostel, okay, where you can get the basic things you need. So you can ask for them when it gets there. Usually we have the porter's lodge where our keys are kept. So over there you can ask for information about your hall. When you have a problem with your room, maybe your locker is spoiled, your key is missing, anything like that, you go to the porters and they will sort you out. Okay. The Diaspora also has restaurants. Okay, so there are restaurants on the floors which are usually more than those in the traditional hall because there are more people there. The population is way higher at the Diaspora than the traditional halls. And you also get internet. The university's Wi-Fi works there too. So that's it for the Diaspora. Let's move on to Jubilee-ish. So Jubilee, before Jubilee, let's talk about international student hostels. There is international student hostel, we call it ISH, I-S-H, okay? ISH 1 and ISH 2. Those two places are mainly for international students, but there are Ghanaian students there. Usually they are continuing students who did not get room in the main hall. We also tell you how to apply for a room in those places, okay? That one is not usually online for you, the Ghanaian student. So you have to have another way. There are other means to get it. It's not usually online. There are other means to apply for a hostel at the international student hostel. And over there, it's usually 2 in a room, okay? 2 people in a room and a few one in a rooms. Yes, single room, single person per room too is available. So that's it for ISH. And between the Diaspora and the traditional hall, like a hybrid, is Jubilee Hall. Jubilee is more or less the traditional hall, but it's farther away from the traditional halls and it's between the international student halls, okay? So online, but it's a little bit more expensive than the normal traditional halls and less expensive than the Diaspora. Okay, so all these, the Diaspora and the traditional halls, belong to the university. So we'll move on to the private halls. ISH also belongs to the university. We'll move on to the private hostels. So before we continue with this video, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, the red button down there. Just click on it. It won't take a second, okay? And then like this video if it's helpful to you, okay? So that YouTube knows that I'm giving information that is useful to you. And when you find it quite useful, please hit the like button. But subscribe first, okay? Alright, let's continue. So we are going to talk about the private hostels. The private hostels do not belong to the university as of now, but there's a contract between the university and some people who own them. So they're a little bit more expensive than the normal traditional halls and the Diaspora. Okay, and they have a few advantages too as compared to the Diaspora, and they are quite nicer than the traditional halls. Anyway, let's continue. So with the private hostels, there is Bani, there is Ivandi, there is TF, and there is Pentagon. Pentagon is also known as African Union Hostels. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Pentagon. Pent is everywhere, Pent whole week, Pent blah blah, Tinium. With Pentagon, let's continue with Pentagon. Okay, with Pentagon, there is new Pent and there is old Pent. Okay. The new Pentagon has 3 main blocks, block A, B, and C. So let's talk about old Pentagon. Okay, old Pentagon with old Pentagon, there is Dar es Salaam, there is Kampala, Nairobi, and Addis Ababa. Okay, these are names of cities in various African countries. Okay, so we know that Dar es Salaam is Tanzania, Addis Ababa is Ethiopia, and all that. Okay, so with old Pent, Addis Ababa and Dar es Salaam are girls. Okay, are all girls, and Kampala is all boys. But Nairobi is mixed. There are lots of 4 in a room. Okay, but with 2 people per room at Pent, at old Pent, you usually find that's at Dar es Salaam. You usually find 2 people per room as Dar es Salaam on the last floor. Okay, that's all girls, and there will be that for the boys too. I think there is that for Kampala, and there is Nairobi. In Nairobi, all the rooms are 2 people per room. Okay, Nairobi is also mixed. Don't forget. At New Pent, all your washrooms are inside. Even at New Pent, you already have fridges in the room, so you don't have to bring fridges from home. Okay, but But at Old Pens, you have to share a washroom with other people, but it's not many. At Old Pens, 3 rooms make 1 flat. Okay, so 3 rooms is 1 flat, and 1 flat shares 2 washrooms, okay, and a kitchen. So that's how they group it. Okay, so 1 flat shares all that. So if you want to have your washroom to yourself, then you better go to New Pens. Okay, and remember that the fewer people in a room, the more the charge is. Okay, so at New Pens, you can get 1 person per room, 2 people per room, and then 4 people per room. Okay, and you know, the fewer you are, the more you pay. And you can also have 1 person per room with AC or without AC, 2 people per room with AC, without AC, like that. Okay, and the AC comes with an extra charge. Alright, so let's talk about Bunny now. Bunny Hostel. So Bunny is when you are going to Pesek, or you're using the Pesek Medina Road. Okay, Bunny is the hostel that you see closest to Pesek. Right opposite it, there is this small gate. Okay, that is where Bunny is. It's the closest to the outside. So one advantage is that you can go to places quite easily. You can go to Ponglo, you can go out to Atomic or Medina to get any kind of food you want. Okay, that's one advantage to Bunny. Bunny is private, by the way. And with Bunny, there are 4 in a room, there are 2 in a room, so you can get that. Okay, and Bunny has 4 blocks, just like the Diaspora. Okay, there are 4 blocks, and then there is 1 auxiliary block, okay, which is called the facilities. With Bunny, there is usually no water problem. Okay, and it can be a little bit more expensive than Pentagon. Okay, with Bunny, the washrooms are not usually shared, so that is a plus, right? But there are a few places where you have to share washrooms, so you can ask and then choose, and it comes with a cost. Okay, so the differences bring cost. You can go for a cylinder, you can go for a fridge, but they also come with cost. The halls that belong to the university, you don't usually use gas cylinders. Okay, you are supposed to use a hot plate. That's to prevent easy fire outbreak. Okay, so that is for the traditional halls. But with Bunny, you can go for a cylinder, but there are measures to using them. With Bunny, there are nice food joints around. There is the Dell, there is African Choice, and other nice food joints around. Okay, and at the cafeteria at Bunny, there is DSTV, so you can watch football in the cafeteria. Okay, and because Bunny is quite far from your lecture halls, so there has to be a shuttle. There are shuttles there available to you, so you can use from your hostel to the lecture halls during class hours. And the shuttles are usually just for students, so it's quite convenient. It's a little more expensive, and it's quite far from your lecture halls and most places, just like the Diaspora is. Alright, I hope you've not forgotten to subscribe down there. Thanks for watching today's video. We'll also come to you with a tour on the campus, and we'll show you how the rooms look like. Okay, so stay tuned, subscribe, hit the subscribe button so that you know when we put those videos up. Okay, bye, all the best in getting a room.